morning, Bucknutters, and welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, December 16th, 2015. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by Tony Gerdeman from the Ozone.net. Gerd, my man, how you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good, Dave. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Really appreciate you joining me. And you and John Porentas wrote a really cool book called The Thrillogy, which details the amazing three-game postseason run for Ohio State last season when they, of course, won the national championship. There have been books written on the season as a whole, but I find it pretty cool and unique that you guys cut to the chase, no pun intended, and focused
exactly
just on the Big Ten championship game, the Sugar Bowl, and the national championship game. I just find that very unique. Tell the listeners a little bit about the book.
You know, it's funny. That's not a bad title. We should have gone with that one, maybe, Cut to the Chase, because that's pretty much what we did, you know. It was a great season all around, but the thing that people remember, and I think the thing that they'll always remember, are those final three games because they were so improbable and also so dominating. You know, even though they won the Alabama game by, a touchdown, they were pretty dominant in that game and how they did it and the manner in which they, shut the Crimson Tide up. And so, yeah, we wanted to just focus on that and really get into it because you can spend a lot of time on, just the minute details, sort of like, one of the chapters, for instance, is just about Steve Miller's interception return and, how the defenders are taught to block after an interception and how that all played out perfectly in that play. And you see the players react to it and it immediately, flip to blocking mode and it ends up in a touchdown. So, we can get into, we're able to take time and get into stuff like that. And it's not just, a couple of paragraphs in a book that would be about the entire season.
And nothing against the Indiana game last season, but people don't want to hear about the Indiana game last season. They want to hear about Wisconsin, Alabama, and Oregon. So I think it's just a very cool concept. And tell me, why is the number 3 so prominent in the book?
Yeah, that was one of the things that throughout the season, I think you saw this as well. With three quarterbacks, they ended up playing 3 Heisman finalists. Urban Meyer went for his, third win over Alabama, his third national title. The Ohio State offense had 3 significant injuries with, J.T. Barrett and Braxton Miller and Dontre Wilson. So what we did, we just used that number 3 as an avenue to for each of the chapters because, there's one of the chapters in the Alabama section, even the book is broken into 3 sections, Wisconsin and Alabama and Oregon. But like one of the chapters in the Alabama section is 3 perfect plays by Evan Spencer, which would be the block on Ezekiel Elliott's, touchdown run. He takes out 2 linebackers. The second perfect play would be the touchdown pass to Michael Thomas. And then the third, perfect Evan Spencer play was grabbing the onside kick, right at its peak. So, things like that. Another one is, 3 toes by Michael Thomas on his touchdown catch, how he barely got his feet in. And it wasn't an entire foot. It was just a portion of a foot. So, we use the number 3 to, to sort of, tell the story of all 3 games because 3 dominating Ezekiel Elliott performances, it just kept popping up. So we decided to go that route. And I think it worked out pretty well.
Absolutely. And tell the listeners how they can buy the book. How much does it cost and where can they purchase the book, Tony?
Yeah, you can go to theozone.net and you'll see it there. You can go to our e-commerce site, which is photozonellc.com. And, you'll see it there. It's $24.95. It's about 270 pages, full color book. So it's pretty cool. And it was fun to work on. It was, fun to sort of go through and decide, what to put in, what to leave out, because, there's still a lot of stuff that, even focusing on those 3 games, a lot of stuff doesn't make it.
I feel like we're still so close to it. We won't truly appreciate it for years from now because it's still less than a year removed from this amazing event. So listeners out there, make sure you pick up a copy of this great book, The Thrillogy. Get on ozone.net to buy it and support our good friends over there, Tony Gerdeman, John Porentas, and their whole staff. And switching gears, Greg Schiano coming to town. I tell you what, when this was first broached, the idea, I was thinking, no way. He's a former NFL head coach. Yes, it would be great. I just don't see it happening. File this under, I am thrilled to be wrong. I think this is not only a home run hire, Tony, I think it's a grand slam home run of a hire. I know some people disagree. Some people think, well, look what he did with the Bucks, and maybe some of his things he did at Rutgers was overrated. I don't think so. I think what he did at Rutgers was great. It's very hard to go to the NFL and coach there. Just ask Nick Saban. Your thoughts on Greg Schiano coming to Ohio State as defensive coordinator and associate head coach?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's great. And I don't factor any sort of NFL stuff into how I think he'll do at Ohio State, because you've seen so many times where the NFL and college football are just different games. There's different responsibilities for the coaches. And I think he's going to come in and I don't know. I'd like to get your opinion on this. I assume the defensive system is going to stay. He's just going to add some things to it, tweak some things. But I think Urban Meyer really likes what he has on defense, and you just bring in Greg Schiano to make it even better. But I don't expect a huge, huge changes or anything. But I think he's a really smart guy. He's been around a long time. Urban Meyer trusts him, and he's a great recruiter, which I think, especially with his New Jersey connections, I think right there, that's a home run in itself. Plus, you can say what you want about the Big East and how, Rutgers sort of picked up when other teams left the Big East. But, he got results, he proved himself. And I think you've got him now sort of as, you got another head coach on the staff. And I think that's always a good thing, as long as, he's in line with what Urban Meyer wants, and he wouldn't be there if he wasn't.
I completely agree with you. I can't imagine Greg Schiano is going to come in and revamp this defense. He's a 4-3 coach. We know that won't change, but I think some people are wondering, are they still going to do the rugby style tackling? I have to think they will do that. It's been so successful, and Chris Ash is still there. Like, he's going to be there tomorrow when we interview these guys.
Yeah,
these guys are very close. Obviously, Greg Schiano is going to have his own wrinkles, but he's known as an aggressive coach. I think he's going to adopt everything that Chris Ash did the last couple of years and then just add to it. And I think it's very exciting because, I thought the Buckeyes were going to be in trouble losing Chris Ash, because if you look at the improvement from 2013 to 2014 when he came aboard, it was exponential. And I was concerned, whoever they bring in is not going to be as good as Chris Ash. Well, I take that back. They brought in somebody who I think is just as good or better. So, yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the defense is going to be very similar.
Yeah, and it's, why change it now when you're going to, you probably have, two new starting linebackers, probably a new free safety in there. Why change to a new defense when you can stay in year 3 of a defense where you're breaking in a bunch of new starters and are familiar with the system? So, yeah, I don't think it would be wise to change, because you saw the learning process in 2014. They weren't a very good defense, until the second half of the season, and they got better and got better. And they picked up this year, and they were good from the outset. And I don't think you change things right now.
Absolutely. And sticking with coaching, assistant coaches, let me ask you this, because this is a question I get all the time. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Does Tim Beck keep his job? Will Tim Beck keep his job at Ohio State?
If you ask me during the season, I don't. Or especially after the Michigan State game, you wonder how it would be possible for him to keep his job. Then the longer you get away from it, then you start thinking about, well, this is year 2. It would be his second year, and he'd be more accustomed to the system. And do you want to bring in somebody new and maybe go through another learning process? But I guess in the middle of it, I would have been surprised if he returned for a second year, just because you didn't see the improvement in the quarterbacks. You certainly didn't see the improvement in the offense. And you wonder, where is the justification sort of for, bringing him back? Because Urban Meyer demands a lot of it out of his coaches. And if he doesn't get it, things have to change. And he didn't get it this year. So you wonder if things change through personnel, or if things change through Beck's habits. I don't know. What do you usually say?
I tell them I don't know, because I thought for sure that they were going to get rid of him, and that everything kind of clicked in the Michigan game. That wasn't just 42 points and almost 500 yards of total offense against a shoddy defense. That was one of the best defenses in the country, and they just went up there and blew the doors off of them. So I could see now Urban Meyer's thinking, well, if it works in the Fiesta Bowl as well, then you have Michigan and Notre Dame, 2 pretty good defenses. Yeah. Michigan's defense is better than Notre Dame's, but Notre Dame still has a good defense. then I could see Urban Meyer saying, okay, this is what's going to work. We're going to have Ed Warner up in the box with Tim Beck. Hopefully they can get Jim Cordell to come back for another year as grad assistant and help out with the offensive line on the field. So if they play well in the Fiesta Bowl, the offense does, I think he'll probably go with Tim Beck for another year. Anything short of that, I could see him moving on. I'm still torn. I still think Urban Meyer is torn. I think he probably feels like he could find someone better, but I don't know. I guess if I had to guess right now, I'd say Tim Beck will be back, but I don't feel all that confident about it. We'll see what happens. And then, Gert, speaking of that Ohio State-Notre Dame matchup in the Fiesta Bowl, Buckeyes favored by 6.5 points. What is a concern or concerns the Buckeyes should have about going up against Notre Dame?
I think Notre Dame has some really good receivers, and they can run the ball. They don't run it a lot, but they average 5 or 6 yards a carry when they do run it. So they've got a good running back in C.J. Prosise. So they have individual talent, and Brian Kelly is always going to provide put out a good offense. So I think the concern is that the Buckeyes are going to have to score more than they normally have this season to win this game. I don't think Notre Dame's going to put up a bunch of points, but I think it can't be Ohio State going, like looking like they did against Northern Illinois or something like that. They're going to have to be clicking like they were against Michigan, to score enough to win this one, I think.
And then on the flip side, what should Ohio State be confident about regarding the matchup with Notre Dame?
I think Ohio State's going to be able to run the ball. And if they have time to throw it, they'll be able to throw the ball as well. Because, Notre Dame's a pretty average pass defense, and I think Ohio State makes everybody, except for Michigan State, a very average run defense. So, it's...
You had to bring that up. Up.
Well, if I say they make everybody look like an average run defense, you'll have all your listeners say, except for Michigan State. So I just wanted to beat them to the punch there. I think they'll be able to move the ball pretty well because that's just what they do.
Great stuff out of Tony Gerdeman. Couple quick programming notes. Ohio State's men's basketball team is back in action tonight. They'll be hosting Northern Illinois. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. at the Shot. Game will be televised by Big Ten Network. We'll see if Thad Matta and company can get back to 500 on the season. They enter this game at 4-5. Then on Thursday, we have a huge day of coverage for Buckeye football. Ohio State is calling it its on-campus media day for the Fiesta Bowl. We'll be interviewing Urban Meyer, Greg Schiano for the first time. We're going to be interviewing Chris Ash, who's still around, Luke Fickell, and Ed Warner. I do find it interesting we're not getting Tim Beck. We're getting Urban Meyer, Greg Schiano, Chris Ash, Luke Fickell, and Ed Warner. No Tim Beck. And then we're going to interview several players to be named later. So it's going to be a big day, and I'm really looking forward to interviewing Coach Schiano and some of those other guys. Again, that will be held tomorrow, late morning and early afternoon. And once again, don't forget to pick up a copy of Tony and John's book, The Thrillogy. You can go to ozone.net to buy that book. Please do that. It's a great book, and I would appreciate you guys supporting our friends over there at the Ozone. Thanks very much, Gert. I appreciate your time, and thanks to the listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Take it away, best damn band in the land.